Today we're going to look at something different. This is an airbrush kit from Gaahleri. They sent this over for review. It includes a compressor, an airbrush, and hose. Pretty much everything you need aside from paint to get started. In addition, they also sent over these paint pens. They're all metallic colors and they're all various metal shades. These are pretty cool as well, and we'll take a look at those later on. A lot of different finishes. There's also this acrylic eraser markers, which I think is exactly that, for cleaning up things with those markers. Inside the box is a very nice presentation. Everything's laid out really well. Again, this is a review sample that I got from Gaahleri, so check out the description below for a link to where you can get yours. It's a really nice presentation. Everything seems really nice. So here is everything that is included in the kit. You get a Serenair GTS 06 air compressor. You get a Classic Series airbrush. You get a hose, and you get the paint cup and some different holder sizes there. So first let's talk about this compressor. There's a few cool things going on here. The one is the back has little suction cups, so it won't, you put it on a surface, and when it goes on, it won't start traveling away if you have a surface that is appropriate to suctioning. There are very simple controls here. You can increase and decrease the pressure, maximum, minimum, start and stop there. On the side here, you have these little tabs, but they're basically here to hold the airbrush. So when you are in between paintings and you want to hold this with and the angle is interesting because it's going to hold this paint cup, right? So you're going to have the paint cup on there, which I didn't screw in right, and then so it can rest here with paint between doing things. You don't have to worry about your paint spilling out, whatever. You have the connection point in the back for the hose. It's a 6-foot hose, and it's got a nice treaded nut on it. Yeah, it's got tread on it. It's got little grippy bits in it, so you can easily attach it to the back there. And then you can attach the other end, of course, to the airbrush. Now we're going to do some actual painting with it later on. There's a needle that runs through the whole piece that you can adjust or remove. And why would you want to remove it? Well, for cleaning, right? So you can do some adjustments in here. This is called the dual action airbrush, and it's gravity fed. So what that means is you have two actions. You can press the spray, or you can adjust the size of the spray with that. And gravity fed means that the cup here is on the top, and this is where you put your paint, in this little cap at the top. These tips come off too for cleaning, and that's pretty much the basics of this airbrush. There's no paint in here now, so let's turn on the pressure. It says that it's got 35 decibels of noise, and the maximum pressure is 39 psi. So with the compressor on, you might hear a noise for a second, but it's just sort of maintaining pressure. So it doesn't like a traditional air compressor. It's not a big tank of air that it just fills up, and it only kind of runs when you're spraying. So see? And that's your air pressure. Now you can go maximum pressure. You hear the sound kind of changes, or minimum pressure. So everything feels quality. It feels good. We're going to spray some vinyl toys and see how it works. This is a nice complete hobbyist set. So I'm excited to see how this goes. And in case you're wondering, you can actually hook up 2 airbrushes to this. This was a second sort of output for air. It's a nice little self-contained kit. Not a lot of noise, not a lot of kit in like that. You can put it back away in the box and it's fine. It's just an attractive looking piece of equipment, and it'll probably never be this clean again. So we are going to start airbrushing, but first make sure that you have safety equipment, respirators, eye protection, gloves, and some ventilation. So we have a ventilated room here. Make sure you have the proper ventilation because airbrushing paint is toxic. You should always prep your surface so there's no finger oil or mold release on them. I mean, I will say the airbrush appears to be functioning excellently.
Yeah.
Like, the stream is smooth, distribution is good. It's not like speckling or spotting.
But I've never used one before. This is my first time, and it was pretty easy. The only thing I would say is be very mindful when you're filling the paint that you need to put the cover back on after, just in case you bump in.
And to be fair, this is a hobbyist airbrush. If you're doing large scale spraying like this, maybe you want something more industrial. Ideally, like where you're doing details on models, war gaming miniatures, Gundam kits, this kind of thing is going to be really cool for sorting out all that cool weather detail.
This could be like a multi-step, like you have to spray it from the bottom in a few areas. We'll have to figure it.
Yeah, this is a learning process for us too.
So like hit the armpits and around the bottom of the legs and in between and any of like the joints and stuff before you go in with the rest.
Right, and these airbrushes are gravity fed, meaning that like if you turn this upside down, it's not going to feed and the paint's going to go everywhere. I mean, it's really smooth the way this is going on.
It really is. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and the compressor like seems to have more than enough energy for this size of job. All right, so here is the first like kind of full coat of the bear with the airbrush. I think it looks pretty sharp.
Yeah.
A hobbyist airbrush like this, maybe you don't necessarily do like, you wouldn't paint like 20 of these this way. Like maybe you'd get something more industrial, but just to show you like you can do this and it looks good.
And that was one coat too. So like, and it dries nice and it dries nice and fast. Yep. So you can kind of not worry so much about going back over it.
And this is also a plug for Vinyl Wonder paints. They didn't, I paid for these. They're not sponsored or anything, but I was told that these are the paints to use for their adhesion to vinyl, specifically vinyl toys. And I can attest to you that it is adhering very cool and very well. There's a starter kit of like 5 or 6 paints plus thinner and a gloss coat. That's what we're using tonight. Pretty good stuff. And also what's great about this is pre-thinned for airbrush. So a lot of these paints you have to thin manually.
There's no mixing.
Right. This out of the jar into your airbrush onto the toy.
Super easy. And the finish is beautiful.
Yeah, it looks really good. So part of the process is cleaning the airbrush. We have thinner designed for the paint that we're using. And basically what we want to do, we run the thinner through the airbrush and make sure all the last color gets out. And then we're also going to clean the needle to make sure that's clean. And then it'll be ready to store for the next time. All right, the thinner's in. And then we're going to take the needle out and clean the needle like so. That's the needle. We're going to do the detailing on these with the metallic paint markers that came from Gaahleri. They're all various shades of metallic. They're acrylic paints, and they are all the kind where you push down on the tip to let the ink flow. Very similar to Posca paint pens, but these are more geared for painting like mechanical things, engine parts, Gundam kits, etc. But we're going to use them for this. After several hours of hand painting, this is what I've got. And this is various markers being used on the blank that was sprayed with the airbrush and using Vinyl Wonder as the base coat paint. You can see here there's a lot of detail. I've used a bunch of the different metallics in different areas, but some of them are very dark and against a black background don't show up super well, but a lot of them do. You also notice the red on here is not one of the ones that came with this kit. That's just a regular Posca marker, but all the metallic colors are. So the next step in this process is we're going to clear coat this, again with the Gaahleri airbrush, and we'll see what the final result looks like. But I've really enjoyed this process, and I know it's kind of maybe a different use for these materials, but it looks great, and I've had a lot of fun with it, and I'm definitely gonna do some more. So with the Gaahleri airbrush, we turn this into this. So yeah, everything you see here, although maybe a little rough, that's really just due to our lack of experience. Everything you see here is done with the Gaahleri airbrush and paint pens, aside from the red. But basically, yeah, the spraying all went down nice with the Gaahleri airbrush. The paint went on really nice with the paint pens. I used the eraser pens to clean up some of the mistakes that I made. It is my first time really working with an airbrush or working with a toy to design like this. So I think it was a really cool experiment, and I want to thank Gaahleri for sending over all of those samples. If you want to try your hand at airbrushing, click the link below to get your own set of airbrush and markers. So once again, thank you to Gaahleri for sending these samples over. This is Josh from CollectionDX. Leave your comments to complain about all the things I did wrong. And also make sure you subscribe so we can get that subscription number up to 100K and I can get that sweet, sweet YouTube plaque.